funny enough, this debate of intelligence versus non-intelligent,
Yeah.
Europeans went and got Africans from the Congo, from all over the continent, and put them in zoos in Europe. So in the 70s and 80s, and I think in 60s, if you went to Germany, if you went to the US, you would find a black person in a zoo,
Yeah.
in a cage. Because families at the weekend will go, like how you go to see animals here.
Yeah.
So they will go to see black people.
Hi guys, welcome to Kenganda. My name is Janita Maya and this is the REPAT podcast. Now, today we are actually just two. I am joined by the most loved person on Kenganda. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing okay. Sherura Mpora is my name. I am a Pan-Africanist, a businessman, and it's a pleasure being back here to fun and chat with you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Sherry. Well, welcome to the channel. Now, let me just read out this topic that you actually shared with us, and then
Right.
we'll just dive right in.
Right.
The topic is: Are white people more intelligent than other races? Is that why they colonized all the rest? Now, please break that down for us.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That topic is very important for us to understand the argument that has been pushed a lot by European scholars to justify a lot of things. When you when you look at different studies that are made by Europeans regarding race, well, lately a lot of these people have changed. The young scholars are changing things, but the after colonialism and after slavery, a lot of justifications were said. There was a scholar that went and started making investigation. He got a skull of a black person and a skull of a chimpanzee.
Okay.
And he was showing that the skull of a black person has not developed to gain intelligence, and he was equating it to that of a chimpanzee. And so his argument was to say that black people are less intelligent compared to other races. And hence the conclusion that black people were supposed to be enslaved and colonized, and all the brutality they faced was because they were less intelligent. But not that, not only him. Lately, I think in 2016, there's a gentleman called Steve Bannon. He was a chief strategist of President Donald Trump in his government. Now, this is a very big person in the government. United States America government is a big government in world politics. And he wrote in a paper arguing that black people who are being killed by the police in America are actually supposed to be killed because they are violent creatures inherently. And whatever they are facing is as a result of their violence and less intelligence. So, unfortunately, this argument was also picked up by most Africans. They believed that they were inferior and less intelligent, and they believed that that the Caucasian race or the Anglo-Saxon race was very intelligent compared to other races. And they say this is why these people went on and colonized and enslaved people. There was a New York Times reporter called Nicholas Wade. Nicholas Wade wrote a book, and he was arguing that black people were inherently, less intelligent and had a low IQ. And unfortunately, Nicholas Wade was using research papers which were not his. So he went and picked other people's research papers, and he owned them. But he picked things that would excite him, that would serve his satanic and evil mindset, but he didn't do his own research. Unfortunately, the owners of the papers came up and they said, you know what, you have really misused our work, and most of them ended up almost suing him. But he's a big celebrity among the conservatives in America. The last person was Charles Murray. He's also an American who wrote a book I think the book is called The Curve. And in the book, he was arguing that black people are naturally less intelligent compared to Asians and white people. And that's why he argued. That's why they are naturally poor. That was his argument. But let's look at it. Are black people less intelligent compared to others? Is this why they were enslaved and this is why they are in poverty? In my thinking, it depends on the lens you use to judge humanity because it's very difficult. My creativity might not be as good as yours, John. You can be very good at something. You can be a good presenter, but I probably can't do presenting. So if I'm judged and on the same level with you, then I become, I'm poor. I can't perform like you. So, but here's the problem. See, the weighing scale that is used is different. The Europeans are using the weighing scale of capitalism. They are using the weighing scale of their trade and industrial revolution, rather evolution. But here we are using, in the African context, the weighing scale of one's intelligence is different. We didn't view one's intelligence from an angle of how greedy they are. Because the Europeans, if you look at capitalism is about greed. In the business atmosphere of the European perspective, is that an individual has to make a lot of money, go and keep it in his house, even if the neighbor is dying. So this person gets a lot of money, builds buildings, makes a lot of things, and he's called intelligent. But he's an individual. It doesn't matter if the neighbor is dying. Now, that's different from our way of approach. Our way of approach is that if I have money and my relatives are poor, then I'm also poor. I'm not counted as rich. I'm actually counted as less intelligent. But another thing to look at it is the environments that we are in. Because you remember that white people, every human race came from Africa. And they went to Asia, and then white people went to Europe after Asia. But, human beings tend to adjust to environments they're in.
Yeah.
I'll give you a live example here. If you see Kenyans here in most of our restaurants, the people who work in there are Kenyan, the management team.
Yeah.
And the argument is that Kenyans are faster because they have a sense of urgency. And the reason for that is that Kenya has less food than here. Here we have everything. I mean, God gave us everything. God decided to give us everything we wanted. Now, imagine in my area where I come from, all over Uganda, we grew up with all the food that we wanted. Everything was available. There was water. There was everything we wanted. I mean, why would you need to be intelligent? For what? Because when human beings have food and where to sleep, they don't have any worries.
Yeah.
Now, the people in the desert have to think to survive. Because there's an Egyptian man who was asking me, he said, I am surprised that you can grow beans here in 3 months and they are ready. And in their country, it takes almost 9 years. Because you have to first prepare the land, put fertilizer, and you make sure, you have to, prepare this land so that it can be able to accept crops to grow. Now here we just throw it. The food was growing wild. So you didn't have any, all you had to do was to wake up, sleep, wake up, sleep, and have children. So there was no need. Humanity performs better when they are under pressure. And that is not that they are becoming more intelligent, it's they are becoming creative to see how they adapt to the new environment. Now, the Europeans went to their lands, which were freezing. The new research shows that these Europeans, the first group that went there, they actually, were almost getting wiped out. They were dying because they were not ready for the new environment, which was freezing 5 degrees and below. So these people decided to move out and run away from the cold. But later, they went back. This time, they were trying to see how to adjust. That's why you see their hair is longer and softer, because it is shielded them against the coldness. It's a process called adaptation. They lost their skin color. It's the whole coldness. This is what happens if you have relatives who got these lands for 20, 30 years. You see their color keeps changing a bit, becoming a bit lighter because the body is trying to adopt to the new environment. So the Europeans had to think to survive. If they didn't have to think to survive, they were going to die, all of them. So they had to find a way of heating their places, of staying warm, and getting medicine to adjust the environment. So this changed the European, and most especially the Anglo-Saxon, to a very violent creature, because the environment was very harsh. To survive, there's a story which was being told that in the dark ages of Europe, if you're going to have breakfast, the two brothers would fight, and the one who would win the fight would eat the breakfast. So this was a very brutal environment. So the Europeans judge intelligence based on exploitation. On the African, we judge intelligence based on how one maintains a community and how one takes the community forward. This is our measure. So these two measures cannot work, because the one is judging an individual and the other is judging the whole community. So the individual, unfortunately, becomes very gluttonic and very self-centered. So we can't judge. But the most important thing which I look at is that when we talk about intelligence, when the European scholars are arguing about intelligence, I normally ask myself, what is the motive? Why are we arguing about intelligence? And then what? So, but most of the people who are arguing about intelligence, it was because they wanted to justify why there was slavery. Slavery is the biggest thing that keeps haunting white people, and mostly those who are in positions of power. When they read about it, unfortunately, most Africans don't know about slavery from first hand. If they knew about slavery, you would have probably mujahideens all over Africa who are probably killing people, because this is something that you wouldn't want to read about. So when they start talking about intelligence, then they normally try to defend slavery and what happens in colonialism. But then the question I ask myself is, because it depends on where you come from. If intelligence is killing, murdering, stealing, and enslaving people, then where I come from, that's not intelligence. That's evil. I can't believe that in the area you come from, Joanne, that when you go to another village and you rape women, murder young children, enslave the ones who are staying there, you put them in bondage for years, and you call that intelligence. I think that is, the last time I checked, that is evil. You don't justify that and say, I'm intelligent because I've wiped out the entire village. If these people are not intelligent, just leave them. They are living their life. Okay, you can only steal maybe, but you can't rape women. You can't kill babies. You can't turn, and this is not for 1 year, 2 years. This is for 500 years. You're doing the same thing, and you're justifying it on the fact that you're more intelligent than. So who is more intelligent in this case?
Yeah.
Is the one you're killing, or the one you the killer? So this is what has confused me. There was a professor in South Africa. So one time he was teaching at a school, and this was written by someone who a student back then. And he said the professor came to their school, and they asked the professor. They said, "Do you think black people are of the same intelligence like white people?" And he said, "No. The research has shown that it's not true, and they're not of the similar intelligence. The white people are more intelligent." But when you study Africa and our history, we never looked at individual things, and we never looked at things most of the time of the material world. So what I realized about the European society is they were looking at more of a limited world we live in, while Africans were looking at an unlimited world of infinite possibilities. And these people had a high level of conscience. I'll give you a small story. And this is something I actually came to know about it through National Geographic.
Okay.
And when I saw it, I laughed.
Mhm.
There were I think there were two French scholars around 1920s. They were hearing about a group of people from Africa called the Dogon people from Mali. So they heard that these people uh, know about astronomy. They know so many things about
Mm.
science and what. So these people said, no, the people in the jungle cannot know about science.
Yeah.
They said, no, 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 it can't be. So these people went to Mali. Back then it was not, I think it wasn't, 1930s was Mali. So they went to Mali. When they got to Mali, they went deep in the villages and met the Dogon people. So they asked the Dogon people, they said, yes, we heard that you know about science. What do you know? So these people told them that we know that there are people who came from outer space and they came from a planet called Sirius B. So these people come here and visit us. These people are like mermaids. They come in the lake. They were telling the French.
Mm.
So they said the bottom part is like fish, the top is human. So they said, these people come here and we interact. And they tell us so many things. So the French scholars they asked them and said, what do they tell you? They said, they tell us that they come from a planet called Sirius B. And this planet orbits with a sister planet called Sirius A.
Mm-hmm.
And they said the rotation takes 57 years.
Mm-hmm.
So these French people kept writing down. So they went ahead and said that these people also told them of a planet called Saturn.
Mm-hmm.
And they told them that that planet has rings. And they also told them that Saturn has 9 moons.
Okay.
Now, in 1930s, even Europeans had not developed stargazing instruments.
Yeah.
So they just said, no, this is just normal stuff. Because you can't see Sirius B with your naked eye outside.
Mm.
You have to use a telescope. So the French scientists left and they said, these people are just in the jungle, they are hallucinating. So fast forward, I think it was 1940s, 1970 something,
Yeah.
when these people had developed advanced observational tools to observe the sky and outer space.
Mm-hmm.
So they actually find out that there is Sirius B, which you cannot see with your naked eye. That's when they actually also, of course, they observed that planet Saturn had rings, that it also has 4 moons. These are things you cannot see with your naked eyes. You cannot. So these people said, how did these people know about this? There's no way. These people had no tools. I mean, they were in the jungle, naked. They had nothing. They were just roaming around.
Yeah.
But they had this astronomical knowledge. The Europeans needed, instruments to observe these things. So what does that tell you? That tells you that these people were living in a different kind of dimension of life. The ancient Africans, naturally, they were not excited by these small things, cars, buildings. No. These were small. And for them, they knew that these things were just material. What preoccupied the ancient African was sustainability of the family, because they knew for them they are living. So the sustainability.
Yeah.
Because they knew that when they die, their family is the continuity. But then you see, if you found that the family, and this one we talk about further when we talk about the African home. So the preoccupation of the African was not on the limited world. The limited world, that's when we talk about such things as these people would develop an airplane. These people, I mean, why would I need an airplane if I can just, talk to people from outer space by just sitting in my house? I mean, you need to spend billions of dollars to go into outer space. But I sit in my house. Actually, I go in the garden and I observe outside planets. I mean, so really, I don't need a car.
Yeah.
But the argument with most people, most scholars, and mostly African, when you talk about European advancement versus African advancement, they say, so where has this gotten us? Why are we still here? Why? So when we're measuring poverty, in my culture, I remember actually most African cultures, there was a belief that poverty is a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So that you're poor if you're poor in the soul.
Yeah.
And actually, remember, in most African families, they would say, when someone comes in the house, they don't say that, oh, there's no space. No, there's always space. They say the heart is the one that can fail to have space, but space is always there. Once the heart accepts that there's space, there's always space. So when we are measuring intelligence of humanity, I think the problem is that we measure on using different weighing scales. If we decided to use one, then maybe we would. But of course, naturally, humanity, we are all just one creature. And I am happy that the professor I told you about, was he a professor? I think he's a professor.
Yeah.
Charles Murray, who was saying that black people are poor because they are inherently less intelligent.
Yeah.
When he went to lecture at one of the institutions to a number of students, they all stood up and turned around, and he was left behind. And these were all mixed race, Latinos, white, Asians, black, and these kids united and said, "We don't want to listen to your garbage. This is not for this world." But the problem, Joanne, is that such kind of discussions, such kind of talks from big researchers affect people's mentality.
Yeah.
Because once people believe that naturally they are less intelligent, you demoralize them. It's like how you tell a kid always that they are dumb and stupid. This kid will lose, pride. So this happened to Africans. They have been told over time that they are less intelligent, because they were enslaved. No, we were not less intelligent.
Yeah.
We were minding our own lives, and some evil creature came. Vasco da Gama is I think we started.
Yeah.
We studied Vasco da Gama.
Yeah, we did. We studied about him.
He was a mentally deranged man, but they don't
say that.
He was a madman. So this was a group of Portuguese who came and they go to the coast and went to the African coast. And when the African, saw Vasco da Gama and his group, they said, something ate these people and took off their skin. And Vasco da Gama and his group also believed that Africans were not showering. That's why they were dark skinned. So each held contempt of the other. So Vasco da Gama went and told his European friends, and he said, look, come and we enslave these people. So it's not, you see, you can't say it's intelligence when you murder, rape, mutilate, kill people.
Yeah.
Funny enough, this debate of intelligence versus non-intelligent.
Yeah.
Europeans went and got Africans from the Congo, from over the continent, and put them in zoos in Europe. So in the 70s and 80s, and I think in 60s, if you went to Germany, if you went to the US, you would find a black person in a zoo, in a cage. Because families at the weekend will go, like how you go to see animals here.
Yeah.
So they will go and see black people. And they see a family dancing in a zoo. And this was justified that these people were less intelligent. So I personally would treat the other person doing that as satanic. But of course, this is not to say that that we say that the good thing, the current generation of white people and the scholars have stood up and said, this is wrong. And unfortunately, by the time they are saying this, our society, the black people, have already, swallowed everything.
Yeah.
And most of them are on the line of justifying what was said and done. We are less intelligent, we are stupid, we are dumb, and we are following the journey. And it's unbelievable. So that's what I think I have to say.
Say about this. This is such a different perspective because I never thought of it like that. Because like if you're intelligent, then you wouldn't do the bad things that your people have been doing to the other people that you deem less intelligent.
That's right.
But this is a different perspective, like I've said. Is that all?
Yeah. Well, and when you say, most people, as you were saying, it's a different perspective. Most people have always And when you talk to even our scholars, they all tell you that we are less intelligent. These top scholars that you have here, they will even just fight and reemphasize, and they will even bring these research books from Europeans, and they will say, "Look, no, we are actually less intelligent."
Yeah.
Someone the other day, a friend of mine, went to South Africa, and when he came back, he called me on phone. He said, well, here you go. See, I told you that the Africans are always dumb. And I said, what's wrong? He said, I've been in South Africa. I was in Soweto. And the Africans are in slums. They are stealing. They are thieves. So what does that say? He said, white people have everything. They have... And I said, well, you see, some things are very funny.
Yeah.
Because you see, Europeans developed where they are. And when they discovered the industrial revolution, they the problem they faced were, how do we get raw materials to feed our factories? And how do we get labor to give us these things, the raw materials? And they went and first enslaved the Native Americans and the Indians, but they were dying so fast, and they had so many challenges. Diseases were disturbing them, and that's when Vasco da Gama landed here. And the Vasco da Gama group found the Arabs already enslaving Africans. The Arabs were picking one by one, taking them. So the Europeans said, oh my God, this is God sent.
Yeah.
So they started enslaving black people. So the industrial development in Europe was not done single-handedly by Europeans. It was done by Europeans with free labor from Africans. The labor was African. The raw materials were from Africa. The materials which were grown in America and the Central America and South America, they were grown by Africans. So you can't take a credit alone. But you see, capitalism is a very exploitative kind of system. That in capitalism, if I find John Wan making something, a mat with beads, a beautiful mat, I run to the registration bureau and I make a patent for it.
Yeah.
And I say, oh, I make a mat, and I put a picture of it, because capitalism is not about you. It's not about reputation. The motivation is the profit. The profit supersedes everything. It supersedes family. It supersedes morals. So the black slaves, because under the laws of slavery, a slave was a property to the owner.
Yeah.
So this slave could not take credit for anything. And America had a better system, which actually was documented, that these people wrote laws and said, if I was a slave owner, a white man would wake up and he would say, I am migrating from Kampala to Mbarara.
Yeah.
And I am selling my properties. And among the property, I'm selling my 10 acres of land. I'm selling my 4 pigs.
Yeah.
I'm selling my 2 horses and my 5 slaves. Strong African slaves.
Yeah.
This was an auction. These were normally, these were in the newspaper, like how you see classified ads here every day. So, but when you judge us based on what the achievements of the Europeans right now, it's unfair, because we have been, now we are on the line of greed and capitalism. We haven't spent how many years? 60 years now.
Yeah.
Most of the African countries.
Yeah.
So you can't judge me. These guys have spent thousands of years trying their system, and they have homeless people, and you judge us and you say, you must have the same report cards. There is no way. And we don't have free labor.
Yeah.
We don't have free raw materials. How? We can't perform magic. So systems are built over time. But here's the problem. Post-independence Africa was not left to run their own show, because the person, the slave master, had known that there is free raw materials, there is free labor, so he didn't go far away. He was just nearby.
Yeah.
So if the post-independence Africa had been left to run on its show, sell the raw materials at their own bargaining price, because if you see what's happening in West Africa, it's not that it's happening just out of accident.
Yeah.
This is a long time thing coming. Excuse me. So we have to understand that we cannot judge Africa and Europe on the same level. No, these systems have been built thousands of years with free labor, free raw materials, murdering people. We don't have the same luxury.
Yes.
We are just emerging from one of the most horrendous period of human race. The family of the Africa was so disjointed after slavery and colonialism that we couldn't move any step further. So now we are actually a very resilient race. If you study what happened on this continent, you would start to say, you know what? I think we are doing perfectly well. So Europe and America are where they are because of thousands of years of free labor and free raw materials. We are here where we are right now.
Yes.
Because of thousands of years of brutality, torture, and terror.
Yeah.
So we can't just emerge out of them and build the same systems like America has. So this is what I wanted to share, that I believe in my thought line is that when our European brothers and sisters left Africa, they met a harsh environment and became very brutal.
Yeah.
And we stayed behind, and we lived in a very comfortable environment and didn't have any reason for being greedy. Because before Europeans came here, there was no prison in Africa. We had no prison. Arrest someone for what? For stealing food? Food was always there. There was no, in our language, we had no context of a prison. I mean, it was not there.
Yeah.
I think this should be an ideal world where people would want to live, where there's no prison. Now where you see now we have in the modernized European system, what we call law is the best liar.
Yeah.
If you go to court right now, the best liar wins. It's not about honest. I just have to lie better than you.
Yeah.
So the foundation we call intelligent is more becoming evil. You know, if a preacher is a thief, a lawyer is a thief, a judge is a thief. If you studied the ancient African justice system, oh my, the Oba of Nigeria, these people had the most beautiful justice system. The court would sit and they would disperse judgment in the most fair way, and they would base on the historical perspective. They would say Joanne has been living in this village for a long time, and Joanne has not caused trouble. Why is this case coming up that Joanne last night stole something? So that the elders would consult. See, the African system was built around elders. So they would do a background check, and they would honestly submit their ideas, and you'll be sentenced. But I mean, the courts, and this is not here only in Africa. This is all over the world. The courts, you go there and lie and win. If you win the best lie, you have the. So I don't believe this is intelligence myself. So, and I don't believe that Africans are more intelligent than anyone, because Africa never even wanted to be better than anyone. They just wanted to live their simple life, simple, quiet life. That was it. Trade came in, but when it came in, the most important thing was, if I'm trading with Joanne, is she okay? And the last part is where they say that we are poor, and we know our mindset here. When you give me something and I don't return it, or you lend me money and I don't bring it back, because the culture we come from, when you don't have, I give you.
Yes.
And I don't have the demand for you to return. No, you didn't have it. So we are trying to transition from the culture of, I give you what you want and you give me what I want, to a culture of saying, let me get all the money, put it in the house, lock, and open the window and I see who's coming. What do you want? I want money. Can I lend you? Can we sign? We sign an agreement. Do you put in an interest? Yes. Oh, I put beans in the house, clothes. I don't care if the neighbor is starving. I don't care. But I have beans. Can he buy them? No. If he can't buy them, let him die. We didn't have such a kind of system. So we are learning a new system. And we don't learn it overnight. But, when you learn a system, a lot changes. Now, if you go into a system of greed, then there are consequences. And the best way to study them is see the Europeans where they are now. Because I met a Frenchman a few days in a gym here, in a local gymnasium, and he was telling me, he said, our European system is built around selfishness.
Yeah.
We are so self-centered. And he really was tired of the system. And he's happy here. He said he's not going back to France. You have it. So if we want to go into the greedy world, we can learn from the Europeans. And we see, we really want to go here, where I go to work, come, close my house. I don't know the neighbor. Even if he dies from there, I don't care. I don't think that's a good system, in my belief. Thank you.
Well, that's well said. Every time you come on here, we are learning something. I feel like your episodes are just so informative and educative, and that's really nice. For the people who want to find you, where can they find you?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter, African Brother.
Yeah.
Sherura Mpora Kachwagure. You can find me there.
Yeah.
And I've seen several people saying they can't find my profile. They can just
On
search me
Twitter?
by my names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we put the links in the description box.
Okay.
So maybe this time round we'll also pin the comment so that they can easily find you. But we put the links in the description box.
Yeah.
And then your email?
Yeah, mpogor@gmail.com.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. And guys, if you have anything you'd like to share with us, you can send us an email at timkenganda@gmail.com and follow us on all our social media pages at Kenganda Nation. We'll see you in the next one.